14th episode of Cringecast. I'm your host, Mr. Loserish, and joined with me today is...
the Kawaii Wrestler.
Yep, and today we're going to talk about Captain Underpants, a surprisingly good movie from DreamWorks here, and maybe we'll get into some other stuff we don't really know yet.
Who knows?
The movie, let's, first of all, I guess I should ask you, Kawaii Wrestler, you said you haven't ever read any of the books, right?
No.
Yeah, I never read any of the books when I was a kid either. I remember, skimming through some of them, and you know what I do? Whenever we had a field trip to the library, I pick up a Captain Underpants book, and I look for the Flip-O-Rama section.
Oh, right.
And just flip the pages, which is I guess, I explained that to you, right? The Flip-O-Rama thing. That's why they did it in the movie, was because they do those all the times in the actual books.
Yeah, that's funny. That makes sense.
Yeah, but I guess we'll just talk about sort of the plot real quick. I'll go fast since last time with cars I went pretty slow.
Yeah, I mean, the plot in this movie just doesn't matter as much. It's more like
it's movie. More about the comedy and stuff. Right. But I guess just real quick, the idea is that there's these two kids, Harold and what's the other guy's name?
Harold and Kevin, maybe?
James or something. I forget. No. Well, anyways, there's two kids.
Right.
One of them, black one's played by Kevin Hart. He's the main character. And then there's the other one. And they make comic books together. And they have this character named Captain Underpants, which they've made. And they have this really mean principal. And one day they hypnotize their principal into thinking that he's Captain Underpants. And then from then on, it's kind of just a lot of jokes. This villain comes in, Professor Poopy Pants, and he's trying to take away all the laughter in the world. And in the end, Captain Underpants, they work together and defeat this guy. And there's a happy ending. It's a pretty basic plot, but
yeah, I mean, it's all about the characters and the gags and everything in the movie.
So that's what we wanted to talk about is how good the movie actually was, because it's surprisingly good.
Yeah, for sure.
Thought.
It's like watching the trailers. I didn't think it would be the worst terrible movie, but it really does surprise you how they actually go with it compared to the marketing, where the whole movie is about the two kids. They're the crux of everything that happens in this movie, and I wasn't expecting that as much. Or I was, kind of surprised that was the.
Oh yeah, I think that's how it is in the books too. But yeah, I can understand it's called Captain Underpants, but he's not really the main character at all.
No, right.
Yeah, he's sort of just drives the plot. Well, not even really. It's more the kids that do everything. But yeah, so I guess what's interesting about the movie is that. We complained the lawnmower outside, but I've complained before. We've talked before on the podcast about how, DreamWorks. My thing about DreamWorks is it feels like they're going through the motions a lot. Mm-hmm. They're just making like when I watched Trolls, it was kind of just basic kids movie. There's this guy who's sort of an outcast in his world, but he's the one who ends up saving everyone and everything.
Yeah, right.
And what I liked about Captain Underpants is it wasn't really that same story.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like with this, DreamWorks wasn't really trying to go through the motions as much as they were like, okay, well, we're not trying to, it seems like with this, they're just we're not trying to do a movie that is going to end up beating Pixar or anything. We're not going to try to just make a, necessarily a very basic story. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to try to focus on the comedy and getting the animation so it's representative of the original books. It looks interesting, which is one thing I really liked. I thought the animation of this was different enough. I mean, it was still very colorful, like most kids' movies that are coming out.
Yeah, but it
now.
looks like, the Peanuts movie, a couple years ago, where it's 2D, but just made in 3D.
Yeah. It looks, they did a real good job of bringing these, 2D, very cartoony, comic strippy characters to life, which I think is one of the things I really appreciated about. I thought the animation did a really good job of representing the original work.
I mean, DreamWorks, on the technical side, they're always top notch.
Yeah,
really
I mean
great.
That's true. I mean the thing, but I just don't know. It's I can't quite put my finger on it, but I feel like there were so many things with this movie that just felt, the animation just felt unique, and there's some small things I can mention. Like I mentioned right after we saw the film, I thought it was cool that there are lots of cartoony effects. Like if someone's speaking through a speaker, there are lines like sound lines or sound waves that are animated like 2-dimensionally. Mm-hmm. They also experiment, I guess, a lot with animation because there's these parts where the kids are looking in their comics, and those parts are animated in 2D.
Yeah. There's a lot of different like animation changes. Like you had the whole sock puppet. Like,
scene. There was a which was kind of done crappily on purpose, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
It was really funny if you noticed. There's this scene where they're worried that they're going to be separated in class, and when they have this hypothetical, one of the characters is using sock puppets. So that whole section is done with puppets. And there's part where he kind of freaks out and he's like, there's going to be robots in the future. And what was funny is I noticed that like the robots, they were like green screened on, but like the bottom was cut off because I guess they were using like the same setup that they would use for like old like Sesame Street cartoons or whatever, or like the Muppets. Right. And like you could see the robot's legs cut off, but it was like I of course like DreamWorks isn't doing that. Like they don't think they can get away with that shit. They're just like doing it on purpose. And I thought it was really funny for you to like if you could catch it that like it was kind of like cheaply done on purpose. It was really funny, that sock puppet scene in general.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then you had like at the end of that scene, it kind of devolves into them freaking out. It's like the robots are killing each other,
yeah,
slicing each other in half and stuff.
It was kind of like off the wall, like crazy. A lot of the humor was like kind of off the wall and crazy,
but not in like a lazy way.
Yeah, not in like, oh, look at us, we're just trying to get your attention more.
Yeah, like look at us, we're so random. Isn't that funny, kids? But no, yeah, done very creatively and very well done.
Yeah, it was like something like a lot of the jokes I think we could appreciate. Like an early one is they're talking about how bad their Principal Crump is, and they're like it's like just two normal things, like, oh, he takes like this kid's like stickers away or something. I don't know. These are just, I don't remember what the actual examples were. Right. And like, oh, maybe he like stops a kid from playing on the swings. But then the third example is like he killed a cat, and then he like takes out a flamethrower on this kitten, and like he like blasts it, but it's like censored.
Yeah, right.
Which is really funny. That had me dying in the theater.
Yeah, like that escalated quickly.
Yeah. And the best joke of the entire movie was there's this little stuffed turtle that he uses to watch the two kids so that he could like find out what they're doing. And there's this part where the kids are looking for the turtle so they can destroy it because he has evidence. And then he's like, are you looking for this? He reveals that he has a tape to his leg. He's like, I've had this turtle with me everywhere, even in the shower. And then it zooms in on the turtle's face, and it's like a little toy turtle, but it's crying. There's like a single tear coming down its eye with a frown. That was so funny.
Yeah, right.
That was a great joke.
Yeah, right. Jeez, the fucking shower, yeah. Yeah, so just a lot of great humor, like very sincere humor.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing I liked about it, is it didn't feel like it was just trying to... It felt like it wasn't... the thing is, I feel like I often use as an insult, it like isn't trying to be more than it is. Like, lots of times, like I said, I go and see movies that are like just hitting the beats. They're just, going through the motions. Well, this one, I say it wasn't trying to be, something bigger than it was supposed to be in a good way. It wasn't trying to be, a Pixar film. It wasn't trying to be like a super, heartfelt, dramatic story where there are low points for the characters. There were those moments, but even those moments were heavily comedic, which I thought was, good. And when I say it wasn't trying to be those films, in this sense, it's a compliment, as opposed to just saying it wasn't trying, but going through the motions.
Not through like lack of effort, but just like
like on purposefully. Not trying to go and be those movies. It wasn't like they were just like, let's not be those movies because we can't. It's like, let's not be those movies because we can. I guess was the difference, big difference with this film.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely, if you're interested at all, definitely go out and watch Captain Underpants. That's my suggestion. It was
for sure
surprisingly good. There's only I think only one scene, which there's only a couple scenes where I just like wasn't. The only scene that wasn't like didn't really find funny was that whoopee cushion scene, just because it was just like complete fun humor. Right. But then what's funny is they kind of pulled it together at the end, because the joke at the end of that scene is funny, where it's like the credits.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh yeah, right.
there's a scene where they get Captain Underpants to be their principal because they can hypnotize him now, and they're like, "What are we gonna do with this power?" They have this scene where they have this orchestra of like kids using whoopee cushions and armpit farts, and you know
right.
it's like super childish. So I was kind of just like,
and like
whatever.
they're playing a classical song.
Yeah. I think they're playing the 1812 overture, but I could be wrong. Tchaikovsky. Yeah, I think it's Tchaikovsky's 1812 overture. I think
which is not related to our War of 1812, but like the Russian one.
Yeah. But anyways, what was that scene like? Wasn't itself funny, but at the very end of the scene, they have the kids clapping, and then there are all these credits that come up like from like as if it was like film critics. That was a little funny.
Yeah, right.
So even if it's like one scene that kind of fell flat for me, they still sort of pulled it together where I got a decent laugh.
Yeah, I think all like the quote unquote potty humor is actually pretty well done anyway.
Yeah,
because like it was very like self-referential, like it's potty humor, but we know it is. So
yeah, like it wasn't like trying to be like this is what. It wasn't like, because usually the biggest problem with potty humor is it's considered like lazy, because it's like very easy for someone to just like laugh at a fart, just like you hear a fart and laugh about it. But what was good about this is like it was worked into like who the characters were, and the story itself really it was kind of about potty humor, but it did it well, which is I guess kind of a funny thing. I mean, even the villain is named Professor Poopy Pants, and he's on a giant toilet. But it was worked into the story well enough where I was like, it is funny,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous and kind of childish on purpose.
Yeah, right. So yeah.
Yeah,
great movie.
Definitely recommend.
10 out of 10.
I don't know what a 10
best,
out of 10.
Best animated movie ever. Better than Shrek.
But I would definitely go out and suggest it. But here's a question. If you had one movie to watch, Cars 3 or this, which one would you suggest someone go out and watch?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean,
because that's what we talked about in the last podcast, was how much we actually did surprisingly like Cars 3. But two movies, from their respective studios that just seem like, it's another Pixar movie.
Yeah, right.
And then it's another DreamWorks silly adaptation. But both of them were done pretty damn well. And they were pretty good movies.
I mean, really depends on what you want. I mean,
yeah.
Cars 3 is not like the pinnacle of Pixar. Because definitely nothing can be, honestly, at this point. But
nothing can beat up.
Yeah, right. But Cars 3 is definitely a very solid addition and a very Pixar-like movie in like its message and its like delivery and stuff, and I enjoyed it. But if you want like a unique comedy experience, then Captain Underpants is definitely the way to go.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I guess the thing is, if you want a good comedy, it's like Captain Underpants. But if you want something, I guess, a little bit more, maybe a little less childish, I guess I would say.
Yeah, less childish, more like conventional.
Yeah.
But still like
a little more drama and stuff. Captain Underpants, you'll be laughing all the way through. But, with Cars, I guess you'll be feeling other stuff, but laughing too.
Yeah, right.
So, I guess you get a little bit more variety, but,
Yeah,
I mean, it just depends on what you want to go see. I agree with that,
Yeah, it's not like you're comparing two things that are trying to be the same thing.
Yeah, it's not two adaptations either. It'd be...
Yeah, true.
But yeah, overall, good film. Definitely go out and watch Captain Underpants if you get the chance.
Mm-hmm.
And, we don't have much else to talk about.
Yeah,
we'll
right.
We'll figure out what the fuck we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, seriously.
So, yeah. What were we talking about last night? Because after we saw the movie, we could have just recorded ourselves then. Because we probably talked for like 30 minutes just talking about the film and like other stuff.
Yeah, just like animation. That's what we kind of always get onto, it seems.
I mean, that's kind of our thing, I guess. It's just like talking about... Yeah, and we talked about, how... we talked about Frozen a good deal, and I think it's a pretty overrated movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's not bad, but it's pretty overrated.
I mean, the only reason why it got as big as it did is just because, like, just merchandising, just the success of the merchandising was huge. And then just, it captured the hearts and minds of little girls, and, right, it wasn't a big deal in Japan as well. Like, didn't they have those, like, sing-along showings, I think?
I don't know, maybe. That'd be, I don't know, I guess somewhat surprising. Those damn Japs. Like,
yeah, right. They gave us anime and manga, and the world's been suffering ever since.
They did it on purpose. I've seen like a fake conspiracy where it's like they did this on purpose to weaken the American spirit, but what they didn't know is that they made their own country weak as well.
Yeah, right.
Because now there's fucking otakus in Japan and just fucking live in their houses and don't go out.
Right? Did you like There's like a meme where it's like, "Hey, where did your birth rate go, Japan?" And it's like that picture of like Zac Efron shrugging and stuff.
Oh
and
yeah,
just,
where he's like,
and it's like body pillows and like otaku and stuff. And
yeah,
anime.
Oh yeah, doesn't Japan have like a huge problem with that?
Yeah, it's like negative and yeah.
Or it's like they have more old people than young people right now. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, right.
Like to think that you could have like more people in their like 50s and 40s than people that are like in their 20s and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't imagine that.
Yeah, and who knows where it's gonna go. That means eventually you're gonna have like a bunch of really old people supported by like a small base of working people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
oh
not
my god,
good.
that's crazy. And it's like, isn't Japan like trying to like? I mean, it's like, how do you fix that problem? Like, how do you just have people? It's like, how do you like convince people to just have like unprotected sex? I don't know. Right. Just like have children. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, like there is. I mean, it doesn't help that it's like a small isolated island. I think one thing about America is that we do like have tons of land that we could use and like move to.
Yeah,
that is very like
America's pretty big, all things considered.
Oh, it's gigantic. But like when you're in Japan and like you're so concentrated and there's not like a wilderness you could ever go to, or even like big suburbs like this where you can have like a yard and stuff. I think it's just, I don't know if that's like, I don't know if that really is like, if that's like is why their birth rate is low, but I can't imagine like it being easy to start like a family with like 3 or 4 kids or
maybe
more.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd love to go to Japan sometime.
Yeah, right.
The only Asian country I've been to is India.
Yeah, right.
And India is great. I love going there, but I'd like to go to other places. Mm-hmm. Going on the designated shitting street is fun. I think I mentioned that before, but I actually did not see anyone shitting out in public. I did see people pissing, just like, basically in like, not even like in alleyways, because like I've seen people piss in America like in alleyways and stuff. But this was just like out like on the side of the road. It's like just piss against the wall so no one can see your dick, and then like people do that. It's pretty funny to see.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Watering the ground, I guess.
I've only seen but I only saw like 1 or 2 people doing that. I guess it's pretty hot there. It gets dry, so
yeah, right. It does evaporate.
Someone's gotta water those plants. Gotta do this work.
Damn. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, Japan sounds like a cool place to visit, but just with all the work ethic stuff and like having to be a slave to whatever company you work for.
Oh yeah, I've heard it's awful to like work there. I've heard that like I saw a video the other day where some guy was like, I've been a weeb my whole life and I went to go teach English in Japan and it's a fucking nightmare. Don't go to Japan. Don't be a fucking weeb. This is a terrible idea on my part. Yeah, right. And like they just treat me like a fucking cuck. But I can't imagine working there. Like I've heard it's like so bad as far as like just like a job. I don't know, but we could be wrong. I mean, maybe it's not that bad.
Nah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, but we going back to Frozen. What we were talking about last time was, kind of how it had been the highest grossing film for Disney until Zootopia.
Yeah,
and just like, Zootopia was such a good film. It came out in like, all these fucking furries had to come out of the woodworks.
Yeah, right.
Fucking praise it. But no, it was a good movie. And after that they had Moana, and we were just trying to pinpoint, like I guess sort of the timeline and when the Renaissance started.
Oh yeah, the new Renaissance.
Yeah, because what we were talking about last night too that I think we should talk about briefly is like they had that whole slump where they they put out stuff like Chicken Little.
Oh yeah,
like the
epitome of Like didn't they make like a movie with like a dog or something like Bolt or something?
That Bolt was with I think it was with Miley Cyrus. She was like the voice of not Bolt, but like her Bolt's caretaker or something.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, that's like a film I've never seen.
Like
that
I know
movie.
the film exists, but yeah,
I've never watched it. No, it's yeah, I've never seen it. I don't know if it's any good, but yeah, Chicken Little is such a weird film. It's like with DreamWorks trying to be Disney. I get it. That's a kind of common complaint.
yeah, because
like,
Disney's a classic. And,
it's like after they released Finding Nemo, it's like, oh, let's do Shark Tale.
yeah, right. Well, those films were like, it's kind of weird how like the Pixar and like DreamWorks films that were, like are about the same subject that come out at the same time. Like they're in development at like the same time, so there's some sort of corporate espionage or something. Somehow they're getting each other's ideas and one's copying the other.
Yeah.
Well, possibly DreamWorks copying Disney, but who knows what this.
What if it was the opposite? That'd be crazy. What if they're like, DreamWorks is doing a movie with Will Smith as a fish? Let's get our own fucking fish movie.
Yeah, or like Ants and a Bug's Life. They came out in like the same year.
Yeah,
too.
that one was like, I think it was because like Ants was originally supposed to be with Pixar or something, and then when they split, he was like, I'm gonna make my own version with blackjack and hookers. And then so he made Ants.
In fact, forget the movie.
Yeah, I haven't, I've only seen Ants once, but I've heard it's pretty good. I've heard it's actually surprisingly good.
Yeah, it's kind of like people like to attribute like the DreamWorks like like anti-Disney kind of style and like being like kind of satirical and like against kind of like Disney tropes. Yeah, I think Ants kind of started that in a way, but kind of Shrek kind of popularized it maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I think the thing with Shrek is it's so much more direct at like all of the huge Disney tropes, because Shrek is so much like it's just the story of Disney tropes are kind of like this handsome prince who saves the princess, and they're just different, but they're not. There's a video by the Nostalgia Chick where she talks about how a lot of Disney films are kind of like, it's the same plot. It's like, I'm different, and like I'm gonna go against the grain and be my own person. But a lot of times in Disney films, it's like someone's super like attractive and like, but they're still different in a way. So like with Beauty and the Beast, it's like Belle's like the most beautiful girl or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be myself, my own beautiful, smart self. And then it's like with Frozen, it's like Anna is this beautiful princess who's like in the castle all the time. I'm gonna be free, be my beautiful self. Mm-hmm. But with DreamWorks, it's like the same thing, but with like ugly. Mm-hmm. It's like monsters and stuff. Like Shrek is gonna be himself. Like in Megamind, it's like about a supervillain who comes into his own as a hero. Stuff like that.
Yeah, Megamind. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like kind of going back and like thinking about all these. It's like how many of these like are like very forgettable movies, and how many of these like are really important and good.
Megamind's a pretty good movie, but I only seen it once, but I remember it being quite good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Did that come out before Despicable Me or after?
I think maybe the same year.
Yeah. Let me look that up real quick, because
I think Despicable Me was like 2011, I think, or 10 or 11. I'm pretty sure.
Because the thing about Megamind is it's like it's that same kind of concept, I guess. Megamind came out in 2010.
Yeah, I think Despicable Me might have been that same year then. But of course, you have those fucking minions in Despicable Me.
Oh, this is for Despicable Me 3, Despicable Me 1. Despicable Me also came out in 2010,
yeah,
right?
It's the same year.
Yeah. I would have preferred if Megamind became a franchise. Not Despicable Me is actually... I think the films themselves are pretty good.
Yeah.
Not Minions, but...
I mean, the Minions is why it's become bigger than you would think it would be. Because, that they're just marketable and, funny. But... I
don't know. That's debatable.
Yeah, right.
But I guess, kids find them funny or whatever. Mm-hmm. And, like, the actual movies I think are pretty good. They have this, strong family, story that works. The Minions are like my least favorite part of those movies usually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
But yeah, Megamind I think was kind of underrated. Like it was a pretty good movie by them, and I liked the moral. It was, I think, different from what Despicable Me was about, even though it was kind of similar, where a villain becomes a hero by the end. But I appreciated it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the whole arc of Megamind is that like he thinks he's like destined to be this villain when slowly you like learns that it's still a choice and like you can be that no matter like what. I think.
Yeah, that's a lot of like DreamWorks. I mean, that's how a lot of DreamWorks films go. Is like characters feel like they're stuck in a place. Like with Shrek 2, it's like, Shrek feels like he has to be this big hulking monster, but then by the end of the series, now he's like a king, right? Far, far away. Yeah. So yeah,
right.
I mean, but I think that's what's good about DreamWorks films is that they have these stories about people that aren't really perfect. They're really, kind of not great people necessarily, and they're sometimes monsters, but they come through and they make something of themselves, and they end up changing things for the better. Whereas I guess with Disney, it's usually like people who are already kind of, you expect them to be the hero, which is, I guess that's why the sort of Disney, that's why Shrek was so great, was because it kind of took that idea and said fuck that, like let's make a movie about someone who's ugly and disgusting, and he likes living in a swamp and farting and listening to Smash Mouth. That's the most disgusting part of all. And
I don't know, but All Star is still a good song though, no matter how many memes people can make of it.
There's some good. I like some of Smash Mouth songs. I like All Star. I like Walking on the Sun. I like their cover of Why Can't We Be Friends. It's a good song. But yeah, fucking Smash Mouth. I like wonder how.
I mean, Shrek is just a good movie though. Like in the end, like people will say it's like, oh, it's subversive of Disney's tropes and stuff. But in the end, it's still just a good movie and really funny.
Yeah. So actually, what we should talk about that we discussed a little bit last night is, you think you kind of made not fully, but you kind of made the claim that Shrek was maybe ultimately bad for DreamWorks.
Well, it's not really my thought. I heard it like from Mr. Enner. He kind of posed it, but I don't disagree. It's like the thought that like Shrek's, success, in both the first and second movies, like that Shrek's success in those two movies has kind of damaged DreamWorks and has kind of stunted their growth. And by like being too good, by having too much success. And yeah, so if you think like DreamWorks' like main MO still is just to be kind of this more subversive, not playing it straight like Disney or Pixar does, and like kind of being a little second rate and stuff. I mean, well, that's just, but yeah, so just not being as like respected in the same way that Disney and Pixar are, by like having like good like movies, even though like DreamWorks has made some, they still have that stigma because like Shrek and like their other movies from the early 2000s kind of very emulated that, to a point where Disney made their own version of that in Chicken Little. So like you always you wonder what would have happened if Shrek was like just not as big. What would DreamWorks' what would their course have been? Would they be able to make more serious movies, more like good art like Prince of Egypt, and like been successful, or would they like not have any success, honestly, and just go out of business?
Yeah, I mean, this is I think my argument about it was that I'm glad for Shrek. I love this series and everything. The thing about Shrek is it's a double-edged sword, because what made Shrek so special was that it was subversive and it was different. It mocked all these, Disney movies, and it came out and it did its own thing. But then, it just kept going. DreamWorks just kept going with, oh, let's keep doing that, And it's like it was special the first time, and but every time you keep doing it, it just loses its impact.
Yeah, right.
And it's not as what made it great in the first place. You end up losing it because you're just doing the same thing.
Yeah, like what made Shrek 2 good is that it scaled back the subversive stuff a little bit and was kind of just like a good message and good story.
Yeah, and it just did well. But it's kind of like oh, it's like Shrek did so well, so let's just make 100 of those kind of.
Yeah, can you look up like DreamWorks like movie list?
Yeah, sure.
Like
I'm sure we're forgetting some.
Yeah, like everything from like 2006, between Shrek and like 2006, or like the third one. I want to know like what their actual movie slate for those years were, because all I remember is like Shark Tales, which is, you know, in hindsight terrible.
Well, they had the Madagascar series.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I don't.
eh,
Okay. Those are like okay kids films.
Like,
I mean, I enjoy just like if I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'll just, you know, watch a dumb film. Then like I'll watch Madagascar.
Yeah, right.
You said after Shrek. This has all like their small films too.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. Shrek came out in 2001.
Yeah.
This is also their non-animated films. That's why
really?
it's confusing.
Yeah.
Oh, they did Spirit. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, it's like the 2D movie about horses in like the Great Plains or something.
Yeah, and they also did Sinbad. I've seen Spirit. I haven't seen.
Yeah, that's
Sinbad.
Yeah, they kind of stopped their 2D stuff when Disney did. I mean, nothing was ever as good as Prince of Egypt anyway, so.
Shark Tale, Madagascar. Oh.
There had to be something in between there. Maybe not.
Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, yeah. That was...
I
that's like an adaptation. Well, that's like a kind of sequel. Like
a
movie of like an already property.
I don't know. This is all their like live action films. It's so hard to find everything. But yeah, I guess...
Well, I'm sure you could find a list of their animated films.
Yeah, let me look that up. Animated movies. Shrek came out in 2001, and then
that's
Madagascar.
That's not a chronological list.
Gosh, I find it chronologically. Damn it, man. Yeah, I gotta have 3 Google searches. It's too much order. Too much work. All right, chronologically, Shrek. And then they say the only thing in between Shrek... Oh, Shrek 4D. That's different. The only things in between Shrek and Shrek 2 were Spirit and Sinbad.
Right. What about, like...
In between, like, 3, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shark Tale, Madagascar, Wallace and Gromit. Over the Hedge. I completely forgot that film. Flushed Away. And then... Oh
yeah, right.
B-movie. Oh, yeah.
I can't believe we forgot about that one.
My boy Jerry Seinfeld. Oh
yeah, so like then Kung Fu Panda, and that kind of like is the end of like that phase. So like so DreamWorks definitely went through this phase of being like, you know, having kind of like adult humor like mixed in with like, you know, the kid humor and stuff. Having not like the most serious movies, like kind of comedy, but kind of like so it's just interesting. So I feel like that phase of DreamWorks has not aged well at all, and it's pretty embarrassing, I think, or some of the stuff. Obviously, like B-movie, and like Shark Tale.
B-movie is such a fucking weird movie, like,
and even like the movies from that phase that aren't like bad, like Madagascar, like they still aren't like touchstones or like, you know.
Yeah, it's like Wallace and Gromit. I'm sure wasn't that bad, but it's like...
And Over the Hedge. Like, you know, it's just a bunch of mediocre to bad or, like, dated stuff that if Shrek wasn't the success that was, then maybe... I don't know. But then again, they did try with those, like, 2D animated movies.
Yeah.
But they just weren't, like,
Spirit was, like,
good.
a pretty, serious movie as far as I remember. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe DreamWorks just did try, but maybe not in the right way.
B-movie is such a... Yeah, I just have to talk about it. B-movie, I think I mentioned this in the podcast before. B-movie is such a fucking weird film.
Yeah.
Like, I don't... It's like, I'm, like, glad it's a meme, but I feel like people should be talking about it. Like, we need, like, serious fucking discussions. Like, fucking, like... you know, like fucking, we need to get Digibro out here doing like 2 hour, like a 2 hour fucking video on B movie, fucking 3 hour video. Like it deserves that because it's such a weird film. Like it's got this like, you know, insect-human relationship, and it's like it plays it off as so normal, but it's weird.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's weird, and you need to like talk about how fucking weird it is. Like, it's not okay just because the bee can talk for you to want to fuck it, Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
I don't understand this. And then it's like, what else is? It's like there's a fucking courtroom scene in it, and it's like kind of about like how PC culture is bad. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Like
way back in like 2005. Or yeah,
Seinfeld knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, right. 12 years ago. Jeez. Yeah, that's just weird. Like, yeah. So the question is, if Shrek wasn't what it was, then like, would the movies that kind of emulate that, like, would they be different? Would they be successful?
Yeah.
Would DreamWorks? Yeah, that's the real question. Is like, DreamWorks is still around today, making 1 to 2 movies a year. So to say that they're failing is not really fair. But would they be doing better, and would they actually have like respect? Like, the problem with DreamWorks is like, even when they make good movies like How to Train Your Dragon 2, or the first one, which could have beaten Toy Story 3 as for the Academy Awards, like, even when like DreamWorks does succeed greatly, like, you know, they don't get respect from the general public because like DreamWorks is like, oh, they made a good movie, yeah, okay. When in reality they are good movies. It's just that everything else has dragged them down.
Yeah, you know what's weird about How to Train Your Dragon is I was a big fan of the book as a kid, but like the book is completely different from the movie. Like it's like not even the same story. I don't know. It's weird. And I remember people like, this movie's so great, and I was like, yeah, it was a great book. And then I watched the movie. I was like, this is nothing like the book. I mean, it's still fucking good, but it's like this has like, because in the book, like the biggest difference is like everyone, like, it starts off like it's normal to like train dragons. Like, it's not like a revolutionary idea that Hiccup like creates. The Vikings are like doing it. It's like a normal like. Yeah, like, I think they all go out and like do it early on in the story, and that's when Hiccup gets toothless. And it's funny because then like right in the beginning, all the older kids are like, "Your fucking dragon sucks," and he's like, "No, my dragon doesn't suck."
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair though. I mean,
the creator himself was just like, it's still good, so like I don't even give a shit. And I'm sure he doesn't mind that fat paycheck either.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like I feel like the How to Train Your, like, adaptations, like, you know, if they're able to like give new life into like a new story, then then like all the changes are justified. So just sad that DreamWorks, and even like their stuff recently, which isn't like always terrible. Like, have they made like a terrible movie? Like Home, I guess.
You said bad. You didn't like, you said Home was pretty bad.
Yeah, like in hindsight. So the fact that like DreamWorks still like
The Boss Baby.
Yeah, right. And Trolls,
the Penguins of Madagascar. Trolls wasn't so bad. It was alright.
Yeah, right.
Boss Baby was like surprisingly not so bad. It was just like surprisingly okay, because it's like you expect it to be like really so bad, fucking bad. Like I don't know. Like, why do people make baby movies? Like, I don't get it. Like, it's like a baby movie always. Anytime like there's a baby movie, I'm like, this is a bad idea. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't make. Has there ever been a good movie with that plot where it's like babies are secretly smart? It's like never. It's like I've never seen that be done well. So I don't know why people keep doing it. But yeah, I guess, before that there was Kung Fu Panda 3 came out in 2016. That one was alright. It wasn't as good as 2. But
I think it was definitely trying to be like a really big, important movie, and it just kind of wasn't.
I mean, I liked it, but it was good.
It was like trying to be like this really good dramatic film, and it only like succeeded like 75% of what it tried to be.
I fucking hate is when people like, that's another thing, is like people prematurely judge those movies because they're just like, Kung Fu Panda, that sounds so fucking stupid.
Yeah, right. Like, but they're all like pretty good.
I remember in high school we had our chorus teacher. We were in choir together, by the way. Mm-hmm. Our choir teacher, like, she was like, she was talking about Eric Whitaker, and he wrote this piece called The Seal Lullaby, because DreamWorks was planning on doing an adaptation of, I I don't remember who wrote The Seal Lullaby, but whoever wrote The Seal Lullaby, they were going to do an adaptation. And then she was like, so he wrote this song, Eric Whitacre wrote this song, and then they decided to make the movie Kung Fu Panda instead. And only me and one other kid were like, hey, Kung Fu Panda is a good fucking movie. Like, that's a good fucking movie. Like, I'm fucking glad they decided to do that instead of some fucking Seal Lullaby shit. It's like, I'm sure the Seal Lullaby would have been good. But, like, Kung Fu Panda 1 and, like, 2, those are, like, 2's a great fucking film.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I literally will fight anyone about this. 2 is a great fucking film. Mm-hmm. And, like, that, like, the ending and everything, that always gets me in the feels, yo. When he's like, it's kind of corny, but it just works so well when he's like, you're my dad. Like, that always gets me, yo. Mm-hmm. And then 3 also, like, I was so appreciative of the fact that, like, you know, he had 2 dads. Mm-hmm. It was just done well. And, like, I don't know.
It's just sad that, like, DreamWorks did have that good stretch where it looked like they're on a really good trajectory.
Yeah, because it's like they had Kung Fu Panda. Let's see here. They had, all the way back in 2010 is when they did How to Train Your Dragon. Then they had Shrek 4, which was better than 3. Megamind, not pretty good, pretty decent.
Yeah, right.
And then Kung Fu Panda 2, Madagascar 3, whatever. Rise of the Guardians, I completely forgot about that film. Right. That was a pretty good film. I'm surprised they haven't made the sequel. That came out all the way back in 2012.
Yeah, right.
Surprised they haven't made a sequel on that one yet.
It depends on how much money it made. In the end, it's still financial.
I feel like a lot of people, like, really... I feel like it has a good fan base, so, like, a fan following that people were still, like, talking about it afterwards.
Yeah, right.
Like, Tumblr girls crushing on Jack Frost.
Yeah, like the Jack Elsa ship.
Jack thing. And then 2013, The Croods. That's another pretty decent one.
So it's like they were definitely raising their average, so to speak.
I think Nick Cage out here. He does a good ass job in that film.
I think they are making a sequel to that.
Yeah, I want to see a Croods too. I actually really want to see another Croods. I really like the first one.
As far as I know,
Turbo, surprisingly not too bad a film. Just okay.
Yeah, right.
It's I was like, they're just trying to do Cars, but just make it about a snail. But it's all right for what it is.
But that doesn't even make sense though.
Yeah, it's like such a weird film, but it wasn't too bad. We watched Mr. Peabody and Sherman together, and that one was all right. Some good historical jokes in there, which was good. How to Train Your Dragon 2. Would you say that, other than The Prince of Egypt, that's their best film, in your opinion?
Yeah, well... Yeah, probably.
Or do you like it better than 1? I know some people who think 1 is better.
Yeah, so I think just those 3, 1 and 2, and then Prince of Egypt are kind of the best, like, dramatic films. Yeah.
By them.
Yeah. So, and then Penguins of Madagascar, that was a pretty good one. But then, like, ever since Home, they just kind of been dropping down again.
Yeah.
So it's like they had a low rise, and then they're kind of falling back to mediocrity, and it's just kind of sad that during their rise they still weren't getting any sort of real respect or anything. They're just like, oh, DreamWorks, they're not worth it, and then DreamWorks kind of proved them right, unfortunately, recently. So just come on, DreamWorks, you can do better. Your Netflix shows are great. Fucking Voltron is apparently Tumblr bait in a way. Yeah, but normie, for white girls,
I do see a lot of I see a lot of people mention Voltron and say they really like it.
Yeah. Oh, first of all, it is a great show. But
you watched it.
Yeah, but it's funny though. Like the videos I've seen on YouTube, like are all by like these teenage girls though. So it's kind of funny. Because like the guys there are really kind of like good looking. So they
good looking animated characters.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it must be attract that kind of demographic. When it's like an action show that's played pretty straight. It's pretty funny. Yeah, and then Troll Hunters is great. Yeah.
Yeah, you said you were surprised by that. It was so good.
Well, yeah, it's like when it first came out, like it was like on the front page of Netflix, and it was like Guillermo del Toro, and it's like,
oh, wow.
That's a big name.
Yeah.
Like, I'll eventually watch it, and then I eventually did. And it's like, oh yeah, this is great. It's like you have you have two 13-episode chunks of season 1 that had their own story that are great. And then there's eventually going to be a finale. Even though, like, the voice actor for the main guy, he was, that one actor who played Chekhov in the,
in the new Star Trek movies, and he said he passed away, right?
Yeah, like some freak accident with his car or something.
That sucks. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but, like, Troll Hunters is really good. So it's like, DreamWorks, like, they have exceptional material still, like, coming out, like, recently. And, like, the new season of Voltron is coming out this summer. So it's just, like, you have the tools, you have, like, good stuff. But, like, just take whatever you have in those Netflix shows and put it into 1 or 2 or 3 movies in a row, and you'll get respect. And money, too. You'll get money.
That's all they really care about. That cash.
Yeah, right.
Speaking, I guess, since we've talked about animated films for a while now, I've been really, the fans don't know this, but you know this, I've recently been replaying the Kingdom Hearts series, and man, I just can't wait for 3 to come out. I'm so excited for that. I'm just excited for all the new worlds they're going to have. They've already announced that they're going to do Big Hero 6 and Tangled.
Yeah, talk about a movie that's kind of fallen by wayside, Big Hero 6.
Yeah, we were discussing that last night, how you said that you feel like while it was a good movie, Disney already has its superhero movies. So
it's like you have like the actual Marvel proper movies. And yeah, it's like Disney and Pixar, they just make like other animated movies. Yeah, it's just weird, like, when you have Academy Award-winning animated movies that, mostly, I guess, due to the ignorance of the voters, but when you have, like, those movies that just don't stick around that much. Like, Big Hero 6, and then Brave, like, beating Wreck-It Ralph. Jeez.
You have a bone to pick with the Academy over lots of these. I know you're pretty pissed on a lot.
Fucking... It's like, I hate to agree with the social justice warriors because the Academy is like just a bunch of old white guys voting on it mostly.
Yeah,
but it's like,
but
they are out of touch little shits that, But of course, with the whole Oscars so white thing, it's gonna go the other way and can be completely social justice warrior-y.
We'll see. I don't know about that. I mean,
but if it means like a better judge on animated movies, then. Whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
Who cares?
It's like, I don't really give a shit who wins a fucking Oscar, personally.
Yeah, right. I mean, it is still, even like the new voters, the new like black and lesbian voters, they're still pretentious Hollywood fucks. So.
Yeah, it's like, the Oscars have never been, perfect on stuff. Didn't you say, like, what was it, like, we were talking about this, like, Shakespeare, or what was it?
Yeah,
Shakespeare in
like,
Love beat out, like,
Saving Private Ryan. That's like a big...
And it's like, who the fuck remembers Shakespeare? The only reason I even know what that movie is because of fucking Scary Movie.
Yeah, right.
Because it's in Scary Movie, there's a scene where they're watching Shakespeare in Love, and they're making fun of the character because she's supposed to be like a ghetto black girl. She's like, I'm watching Shakespeare. It's like a really dumb joke, and then I'm sure she gets like cut up in the theater or something. I forget.
That's fine. And then, but then you have like, compared to Saving Private Ryan, which is a Spielberg classic with Tom Hanks and
people will
a
always
young Matt
that.
Damon.
Yeah,
and stuff.
That's like a movie everyone will always remember, Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, and you had like the whole like D-Day sequence at the beginning. Yeah, the Oscars just don't make sense sometimes. And then you had the whole fucking drama this year when they announced La La Land to be the winner at first, and then Moonlight won.
That was oh my gosh, this is just like another Steve Harvey episode. Just like how do you fuck it up? But apparently, I don't know what happened.
What happened was like somehow, like even though there's like contingencies on like who handles the envelopes and who hands them off to the right people, apparently like the one where whichever actress won for La La Land, like,
it was Emma Stone. Yeah.
So like somehow her envelope got rehanded, or like a copy of that got handed to two announcers.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Because I remember he said like when he was announcing La La Land, he like looked over to the side, And then he said La La Land. And then afterwards he said, I looked over the side because I was checking, because I looked at it and it said Emma Stone. And I was like, why would it say Emma Stone? That's why I looked over at you. And then he's like, yeah.
Yeah, right.
As also the Oscars were the greatest film of all time. Suicide Squad won an Oscar.
Yeah, an Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad. Jesus.
The Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad. It's only because you motherfuckers wanted to fap to, what is her name?
Harley Quinn.
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie, yeah.
Margot Robbie. That's it. It's like, I don't know. But that's probably not the actual reason, but...
Yeah, right. Yeah, so... yeah, I didn't watch the Oscars last year because I think the year before I was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like always, award shows are always wrong. It's like same thing with the Grammys. Like, everyone's just like, what the fuck? How'd you give that to that person? That's just a terrible fucking idea.
I think, yeah, like, people like Kanye West, disagreeing with.
Yeah. Oh my God, we need my boy Kanye up announcing animated films so he could have been up there saying, "Look, I know Brave won and it was a great video, but Wreck-It Ralph had the best animated movie of all time."
True. I feel like Kanye West would even like have that opinion anyway.
He almost did it twice.
Really?
Because he did it, of course, famously for Taylor Swift. That was a really famous one. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I can't even tell you what was it for. It was like Single Ladies versus some Taylor Swift music video. Yeah,
it was like her first one, I think.
And it's like I don't know anything about the Taylor Swift. Maybe he was right, honestly, because I know what the Single Ladies music video looks like, and it's kind of memorable. Like even though
I don't know, Taylor's first song, like. Taylor Swift's first song was really big. It's just that she's released a whole lot of other big songs since then. And that was like in 2008 anyway, so it's like, or 7.
But then I think it was in some, maybe like 2013 or something is when Beck won like for best album, and Kanye came up, and Beck was gonna let him speak, but Kanye was just I better not. Like he just, I think he was again gonna be like, Beyonce should have won that. I think he was gonna, it was the same thing.
I don't understand if you're like, I feel like after a first time, if you see Kanye coming up, like be prepared to punch that motherfucker.
I think Beck was just like, who cares? Like if I don't know, he's just like, if Kanye wants to speak, like let it happen. Like I think that was Beck's opinion, was just like. Because he's probably not a confrontational guy, and he was probably like, if Kanye has a different opinion, I know he's a loud, bombastic guy. I might as well let him just fucking say it. Then I'll get a meme out of it at least.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I think, like, I don't know, like being up Kanye West doesn't sound like the most satisfying thing ever because he's wimp. I don't know.
He's like pretty small, right?
Yeah.
I thought there's this one Kanye quote I loved because I kind of agree with it because it's how I feel.
What?
He was like, I wish I was a tall, skinny guy, but since I can't be a tall, skinny guy, I'll settle for the greatest artist of all time.
Yeah, that's confidence part. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, if I was ever in that situation where like Kanye West is coming up trying to like say that my thing wasn't the best after I won an award, I'd be like. It's like, fuck you. It's like, come up here. I'll break your jaw. I don't know. I've never been in a fight, but I would definitely go off. I'll go all out.
On Kanye.
Yeah, just like tackle him, ground and pound, that shit.
I don't know. I'm a Kanye fan, so it's like if Kanye came up, I just give it to him. I'd be like, get it, yay. Be like, yeah, say whatever you want, man. You're fucking Kanye West. Like, I fucking love you, dude.
Yeah, right. Oh, people are already turning on him because like he didn't vote, but he would have voted
for Trump, and then he took pictures with Trump too.
Yeah, right. I mean, not that like that should be controversial. I mean, he is our president.
Yeah, and if you like actually know a thing, it's the thing is like if you actually know anything about Kanye, like it's not all that strange. Mm-hmm. Like he's not like a super left wing guy or anything. Like he is.
Makes sense. In fact, most rappers aren't
big artists, and like that stuff. But it's not like he's. I think he realized that a lot of the stuff people say about Trump isn't necessarily true. Mm-hmm. Like Kanye's smart enough to like know that shit, and he's not a dumbass. Like that's the thing. Kanye's arrogant, but like I think part of it is like it's like I used to watch Beta podcasts with Keemstar a lot. He's like, you got to be arrogant to an extent because it's like sort of overcompensating, so that you feel, you know, if you keep going like I'm the greatest, and you put in the work to be able to say that, then like maybe you won't be the greatest, but like maybe to be able to say it, like you get the energy and it fuels you enough to keep going on.
Yeah, true.
And so that's my thing about Kanye is like he is obviously like super arrogant, but
like, he does back you up to some extent.
To some extent, I mean, he has. The thing is, you don't listen to Kanye, but like he really does have some great rap albums, and he really does have some great production credentials. Like the thing is, like if Kanye was like, hey, let's, of course, if Kanye was like, let's make an album, I'd be like, oh fuck yeah. But like, just the thing about Kanye is like I expect, he's not just like going through the motions or anything. It's not like he's not just some dumb rapper. Like he knows what the fuck he's doing, which is the thing that's great about him. Anyways, I was worried about this not going on for long enough, but we got up to 55 minutes, so that would be a good time to end it.
Yeah, right. Well, thanks for listening, person from wherever.
Two of these views will be us, and then the other two will be someone who misclicked.
Yeah, exactly.
And then forgot how to turn off a video for a second.
Yeah, right. So just remember, leave a like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment, and tell us if you like us, if you hate us. Leave a dislike if you really dislike us. Do whatever. Just tell us what you think.
Yeah, we want some fucking feedback at this point. That's what I want most of all. But we'll see what happens. You'll have a real cringy day.
Yeah, right.